It's a deliberate attempt on my part to sort of re-invoke the traditions of folktale and fairy tale and see how they could be made to speak to the era we live in. Like many classic collections of tales, this one is told by travellers, in this case stuck in an airport. They're on their way to Tokyo, their flight is cancelled and they have to spend a night, and they spend their night telling stories to each other, and there are stories from many different places. And I will just read to you a couple of pages from the beginning of the Lagos story, which is called The Flyover. In the city of Lagos, there was once a young man named Marlborough. He lived in a small room on Lagos Island near to the hustle and bustle of Balogun Market with his mother and two elder brothers. The eldest brother was devoted to learning and managed to get money together to go to a reputable university in India. The second brother had a friend who ran errands for rich people. They set up a booth together on Victoria Island. Bills paid, visas made, no more stress, trustworthy service, receipt always given, no job too big or too small. Soon the commute became too much, and this brother set up a bed in his stall, and Marlborough was left alone with his mother. "Why don't you go and improve yourself like your brothers?" she would say. She worked long hours in a beer parlour and had no time for Marlborough's laziness. He would lie on her bed while she was out, under a crinkled poster of Jesus standing on a rainbow, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." And he would watch the lizards sitting on the fluorescent tube waiting for flies. "If you can only find your own fluorescent tube to sit on," thought Marlborough, "then everything comes to you."
Is a collection of 7 stories. When I was writing these stories, I actually had no inkling or expectation that they would form a book at all. So any sort of coherence or thematic unity that the book might have is entirely, a fluke. I've been asked to read from the first story. I'm just going to read a little bit. Here we go. Here is what I believe. We forgive any sacrifice by our parents, so long as it is not made in our name. To my father, there was no other name, only mine, and he had named me after the homeland he had given up. His sacrifice was complete and compelled him to everything that happened. To all that, I was inadequate. At 16, I left home. There was a girl and crystal meth, and the possibility of greater loss than I had imagined possible. She embodied everything prohibited by my father, and plainly worthwhile. Of course, it was right about her. She taught me hurt, but promise too. We were 2 animals in the dark, hacking at one another, and never since have I felt that way, that sense of consecration. When my father found out my mother was supporting me, he gave her an ultimatum. She moved into a family friend's textile factory and learned to use an overlock machine and continued sending me money. "Of course I want to live with him," she told me when I visited her months later. "But I want you to come home too." "Ma doesn't want that." "You're his son," she said simply. "He wants you with him."
I think in my case it's a little bit like when I wrote the stories, there are 8 stories in the book. I wrote them in the course of maybe 4 or 5 years. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me? Okay. So I didn't know it's, the stories are going to be a book. I didn't know there going to be a book. So it's like him. I'm just going to read a story that is argued a lot by readers and reviewers. So I'm not sure anymore it's good or bad. Quite a few readers get confused about the opening sentence, and also people, especially reviewers, who are saying some Chinese expressions in English. Some say it's good, some say it's bad. So I don't know. I just read a couple of pages. The story's title is Second Encounter. It's the last story in the book because I don't know if it's good or bad. The building's shadow has shifted from west to east. George is running a little late. Apologizes the interview coordinator, a Caucasian woman half a head taller than Wei Dong. The October afternoon sun glares through the window of the 8th floor office in Technology Square next to MIT. Wei Dong is back in the seat. It looks as if Laser, a rookie employee, presenting a textbook question to test intelligence, nor a mainlander who would not hesitate to play an ambush for a fellow Chinese is in his way today. As a veteran software programmer, he has switched companies 7 times in the past 13 years, each moving him to a more challenging or better paying position, till this last time when he, along with his entire R&D group, was laid off.